Auction.
We're not auctioning the dog seduction.
Seduction.
Imagine that one.
E.T. abduction.
Dog seduction.
Are you just remixing this podcast live?
Podcast.
Welcome back to Sat.
No, it's not the name of the podcast, but I do appreciate you just to give
I
it a
just
shout.
remember, when before Sat was here, we used to do it in a nice room, and now Sat's here, the microphone's resting on a bin. What does that tell you?
There's a lot of rubbish in this room.
We're doing it in an audio suite, so as an upgrade to where we're doing it, like a storage space for boxes.
Yeah.
But it was nice going there every week to figure out, look, I wonder what's going to be in that room today.
Whoa.
Is it baby clothes?
Are we
Is it
never
memorabilia?
going to go back to that room?
You actually want to go back?
I don't know, we're not allowed.
No, loud, but it's just like there's a lot of red tape right now. That's why I moved us out there.
Red tape, bureaucracy.
Yes, but
Well, do you know what? I don't give a damn about bureaucracy.
We can still have our chilangos, we just can't have it there.
I had curry from Weatherspoons.
I had a couple of cookies from M&S.
Look at you cheeky sausages of your smirks about your food.
Well,
Stressing and pressing.
What I have,
Yeah.
Compressing.
A biscuit.
a nice wrap, a
Wrap.
biscuit, a little bit of Coke, a chewing gum,
A little Coke and a soaker.
a little Coke and a soaker.
No making a joker.
Tom,
I had a chicken katsu for lunch. I split it with a friend.
Ooh.
Basically,
She has friends.
Yeah. I mean, they're people I work with, but I also socialise with them outside of hours sometimes.
That
which is a
sounds
bit-
good.
I
That
think
sounds
it's like an adult thing to do. I sound more and more like an adult every day.
The way I see it is you get paid to spend time with them. As soon as the clock is, once it hits time, you just say bye.
No, but you can spend time with them if you want.
If you want to, but it's like, why do you want to? It's like the
Because
whole
why
point is
not,
you want
like-
to get away from all the
Why not?
chaos.
Sometimes you have a bad day and you're just like, do you want to just go for like 2-for-1 cocktails at Las Iguanas and just chill out?
Yeah, that
then-
sounds good.
And then you end up getting like a 3-course meal.
I'd rather go home and meditate instead of chilling with these peasants.
I don't meditate. I just go home and end up like binge watching something.
I don't even binge watch anything. I binge watch like my memories of my life in my head when I
deep,
meditate.
man.
Yeah, deep. Yeah, meditation
deep
helps.
thought.
Meditate. More like
Oh
vegetate.
yeah, I don't like being
Hesitate,
home with my
ain't it?
thoughts.
Hesitate, clean, and...
No, but truthfully, sleep is a form of meditation.
Oh, I don't do that a
shut
lot.
Oh man, yes.
You sound like
Picking
such
hairs now,
you
you're
sound like
splitting
such one of those guys that, like those hippie guys that's going to steal your girlfriend.
I'm sorry, but she brought
Yeah,
me
but
here
that
as
will
a
only last
specialist
for 3
today.
weeks, okay? Because you realise they don't bloody shower or
sleep.
use deodorant.
Sleep is a kind of meditation. Maybe we should go meditate.
Yeah, we do. You know, we should meditate with our clothes off.
Yeah.
Now, don't worry, but this large penis will end up vagina.
I mean, I love that they're having this conversation in this episode.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes, you're good with the segues.
Yeah, it's just, I feel a bit dirty now.
Chimpanzee riding on a Segway.
And also, because you segue into that, I don't want to make sexual jokes anymore. So that's me.
I mean, I don't think, I think we're done with
talk anymore.
I just think we're done with sexual jokes this episode. I don't think we can be sexual about
Throw
it
one
anymore.
or two surprise ones in there. You know, you never know.
Right.
What are we talking about?
So we need Paul McCartney to play us in
the
Orange
other
Avenue.
room.
Yeah. Go on, Paul. 3, 2.
Welcome to the Rourke Deduction Podcast, where we talk about stuff.
Thank you, Paul McCartney.
Excellent work.
Yeah.
Okay, next week. See ya.
Some of your best work, Paul.
How stellar.
I mean, I Want to Hold Your Hand wasn't that great. Come on.
I'm
Let's
more
talk
of a
about
George
this.
Harrison fan, so
yes.
I wasn't impressed.
Unfortunately, we can't have him on.
Namaste. Namaste.
We can. All we have to do is like put the aux
Ouija
cable
board.
in
Or
the- in the-
meditate.
Or meditate.
Or
and,
Ouija
like-
board.
No, I don't fuck with Ouija boards, you know. I'm not into that pagan shit, man.
Would you say
have-
Candyman in
I
the mirror
have.
5 times? I wouldn't. There's no
Wait.
point. What's
Well,
the
you
point?
wouldn't get away
Wait,
with it.
say
'cause you
what,
have to say
sorry?
3 times.
Candyman in the mirror 5 times.
I mean, give me a mirror and I'll do it.
I don't. What's the point?
You'd
'Cause-
be killed before the 4th one. So
no, it's 5 times. You
it's
have to
free.
say
It's
it.
free.
Before we get into this, can I just say...
Oh
I love
yeah,
it when
it's
you
like
do
Bloody
that.
Mary.
This podcast is a curse and I think we should stop doing it.
Whoa. Okay.
Because we mentioned Luke Perry and how I want to do things to him, and then a couple days later, he dies.
You killed Luke Perry.
I killed Luke Perry. We mentioned Supernatural. You asked me how I felt about what I would feel if it ended. And then a couple days later, guess what? They announced the next season's the last one.
No!
Yeah.
Somebody find Julia Stiles and make sure she's okay.
And
What did they do to her?
we talked about her a lot.
When?
Oh my god.
When?
Fulton Reed as well. Oh my god, we need to find Fulton Reed. We need to do some damage. Let's stop talking about things we like, which is also the theme of this episode. Pardon?
Start coming up with things you want to happen.
Wait, you... Okay, who do I want to die?
Oh no, you don't want anyone to die, Satya.
Can I start talking about my father?
Oh!
That got dark.
Maybe I should just talk about myself.
I thought I had parental issues. My god.
Let's go back to the sexual innuendos.
But anyway, Sat, you asked me how I felt, and I said I'd probably be okay. I lied. I didn't even know I was lying to you. I lied.
About what? What are you talking about? Supernatural?
Yeah, he said asked me how I felt, how I'd feel if it ended, and I said I think I'll be okay. I've got enough episodes to go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was not okay.
Really?
No.
Yeah, no.
You
don't even like the new episodes as much.
No, I
Yeah.
don't. Well, it's part of my life. It's ingrained into my life.
You've got like 13 years or 14 years.
It's part of my DNA at this point.
I just finished watching Sopranos again, and there's only 6 seasons of that, and I felt like it's been long enough, I could just start it from the beginning again, and maybe start a cycle as soon as I finish, just start it from the beginning.
Yeah, no, as soon as I heard that it was ending, I started rewatching the old
From the
episodes.
beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, the first few episodes when you sit down
Yeah.
to a nice TV
Yeah.
show again.
Who would have thought, like, the words "Dad's on a hunting trip and he hasn't been home in a few days" could launch into 15 seasons?
Is that what the whole show's is that what the
That's
scene
like-
of it is?
That's like one of the iconic scenes from the first episode.
What happened? Say it again.
Dad's on a hunting trip and he hasn't been home in a few days.
Does he never come home?
I mean, that would be a spoiler.
It's the first episode.
We're not to get 6.
I love spoilers.
You've
you
watched
do.
it though already.
Yeah, but in and out.
Dad came home, then he left, and then he died, and then he came back, and yeah, it was a whole mess. A lot of things happened with Daddy Winchester, Big Daddy Winchester.
What are we talking about this episode?
This episode, we're talking about, again, someone who probably should die if all this stuff is real, so good thing we're talking about him.
It's a big one, though.
Mr. Steven Spielberg, who actually formed a huge part of our lives and our childhoods. He gave us Indiana Jones, he gave us...
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Indiana Jones?
E.T., of course, is a classic. Indiana Jones doesn't resonate with me at all. Even, like, I see bits on TV and I'm like, flip.
It was fun
It's a
when
bit
I was a
boring.
child, but... Like, after that, I haven't really watched it.
Goonies, I understand. I watched
Yeah.
Goonies when I was 21.
It
So-
still holds up. Though.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I watched and I was like, oh, I get why you guys have that nostalgia.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a shame I can't have that nostalgia. I can have nostalgia of being in my 20s watching it, which is not the same. But, yeah.
I never understood the hype for E.T. though.
The thing is, when I'm with you on this. When I first watched it, I was like so bored. I kept stopping.
Yeah, but how old were you when you first watched it?
About 10.
I was like 9 or something like that.
Oh, right, that's peak age.
And then, like, I kept, like, when I was younger and my siblings were watching it, I'd just leave the room.
Yeah. The thing is, it's a fine film. It's all right. I just understand the crazy hype for it because it used to freak me out. I used to think you looked disgusting.
Yeah, it looks like a poo-faced alien, right?
Poo-faced alien.
Big bug eyes.
The point is, everyone knows who Steven Spielberg is, but do they know who he is?
Well, do we know who he is?
Do we know who he is?
Do we know who we are?
No, we don't. But that's not going to stop
Let's
us from
stop it,
throwing
yeah.
around some pretty serious allegations.
No, but before we begin, a little disclaimer. Anything we may say, we don't wholeheartedly believe it, or maybe I do. Who
Maybe
knows?
giving it
Maybe we do. We're just sounding off the speculation that has been already sounded off.
We're so
So
distancing
we're,
ourselves.
so we're making a comment on stuff that has already been
Being
said. Yeah.
We're not saying anything new of ourselves.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on. This guy is like associated with so many seedy people, got access to kids. You're telling me he's not part of it, please. Unless
I didn't say that. I said I don't want to get sued. I don't have any money,
If
Sat.
anything, he's guilty of turning a blind eye to a lot of shady shit.
Yeah,
still
no.
you
I
doing-
think turning a blind eye
Is she
is.
playing the character?
I'm not playing a character. This is me from
It's
the heart.
disgusting.
From the bottom of my heart. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I mean, this guy adopted
Okay.
a black kid, so I don't know what the fuck he did to him.
Steven Spielberg.
He's got a black kid, yeah.
No way.
Yeah,
He's
man.
a doctor of a few kids, or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One of them's black. Yeah. I clapped for her in the beginning, but I was like, nah, what can I do? What, did you buy him off an auction?
Auction.
It's the auction.
Harvey Weinstein is proof that all these powerful men get away with a lot of stuff, and hopefully one day they will get their comeuppance, but some don't, and some people feel that Steven Spielberg is one of them.
Before we say that, should we let's break down the...
Let's break it down.
Break it down.
Satya, you're the. I think you're the leading, really, like the. Well, I could say a few things if you're.
Voice of law.
No, okay. Number one,
You.
I haven't seen the print out. You know what I'm saying? I got my little blind eye. I'm in the corner.
It is some of the print.
Can we give a shout? What's the name of the video that you showed us?
The
The Dark Side of Steven Spielberg. Good video. It's on YouTube.
And who made it?
Some Australian dude.
Some Australian dude. I forgot his name.
What's his name? Fucking.
The next episode we'll give him a shout.
Barry?
No, you know what? Let me do a quick search on my phone where you guys, babble on a bit. Babble for a bit.
Waka, waka,
Do you like David Gray, the singer?
He's alright.
Babylon.
He does babble on a bit.
That's the only song I know.
Yeah, but it's a joke.
God, jeez.
It's a joke. That's what he's saying.
He does babble on a bit.
I like him, but he does babble.
That's giving me an abscess.
What is it with you two and like dad jokes?
Because
they're
they're
my favourite
great.
kind.
They're
Dad.
great, right?
They're Babylon. David.
Yeah, I
Gray.
still feel like you're my children.
Yeah?
Even though you're making all these dad jokes.
That's fine. We're
Yeah,
growing
I
up
can
now.
never be a kid, Tommy. I'm older than you. I'm older.
You're all older than me.
We're growing up, Tommy.
If anything, Tommy, I'll create my own The Dark Side of Tommy.
Wait, what? I didn't do anything to
Kevin
you.
Spacey, Dustin Hoffman, Andrew Kreisberg, Bryan Singer, the Weinstein brothers.
That's
and
it.
many
Fully
others.
Sourced is the name of the YouTube channel. Fully Sourced.
Fully Sourced. He's got another good video on Pizzagate. So if you're into your conspiracy theories, he does
What
a
is
good breakdown.
That's another episode.
That's another episode.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like a teaser. What is Pizzagate? Well, tune in next time on
Sounds-
Dark's Deduction.
Pizzagate sounds fun. It isn't. Is it?
It isn't. If anything,
Did something go horribly wrong with the pizza?
well, it's involving child pedophilia.
Someone ordered chicken pizza. Came without chicken on it.
Oh my
Conspiracy.
God.
Like-
Conspiracy.
I've had many phone calls, but I sound off my opinions and that.
So if someone goes to you, so Tommy, you want some cheese pizza? Yeah. Don't be shocked if you find out. Wait, where is my pizza? Why is there a little shit at my door?
Is it child labour?
Labour, that's even worse.
Is that how they order? Oh,
Oh, what's it? Is that your napkin? Napkin.
What's
is that how they
napkin?
order kids?
Is that your napkin?
It's not funny.
Okay, can we let's
Sorry,
turn it back.
sorry,
Let's
sorry.
rewind.
Steven Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg
Back to
did
light
some stuff.
topics.
So Steven Spielberg, he has worked on many a film. He is associated with many a men.
But you would say, I guess, Steven Spielberg, one of the tropes of his films is often to have, it's like he made a lot of films, feature children, directed at a young audience as well.
Well, he made stars, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also you could say, one of the great things about him is, if you're coming from a completely positive side, you can talk from a child's point of view. He's quite good at that coming across. He makes really good family films that all kids love. Then if you flip it on the other side,
Hollywood is a horrible industry, especially for people that have no support system and people that are more vulnerable. And some of the people that are more vulnerable are children.
Well, it's like an
And-
inner circle, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
so I think everyone's heard bubblings about child paedophile rings in Hollywood for the past several years, especially with the two Corey Haim and Feldman.
Feldman's got a documentary he wants to
Yeah.
release, but he got stabbed last year.
Yeah,
Obviously
that's been
tried to kill him.
suppressed. That
Yeah, it's been
documentary,
suppressed. Yeah. And think about it. This guy's been keen on revealing key people involved. And the one interesting thing about him is he said that Michael Jackson didn't touch him, and Michael Jackson not a paedophile. I just want to throw that out there because I still think
I think Michael
feel
Jackson's too childlike. I don't.
yes. I
Yeah.
still
He may
feel
enjoy
like
the company of children, but I think it's because he is
suppressed
mentally
childhood.
children.
Yes.
Yeah. But then I don't know. So it could be. I wasn't in the bedroom in the Neverland.
That's
so
the,
I can't really say
I
anything.
think my argument is it's true. We weren't in the bedroom, so we'll never know. Basically, we shouldn't form an opinion
Yeah.
either way because I could do a documentary.
but that's the
Yeah.
same with the Steven Spielberg.
The thing with Michael Jackson, I find it believable that possibly some stories match up. It's a bit odd how this adult man had his way. Sounds so wrong. What I was just about to say. How this adult man behaved around children. But yeah, I don't know.
The thing is, if it wasn't Michael Jackson, it was just some old Joe Schmo, we'd be crucifying him.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
But that old Joe Schmo was very cerebral in his pursuit. With Michael Jackson, it's kind of like naivete. I think it's like naivete.
Naivete.
But that's one of the stories that gets directed, that he's naive, childlike. He didn't know what he was doing. He just liked being with children because his
but
childhood was snatched away from him. So that's just the narrative that's
Yeah,
that's
that's the
painted.
PR
narrative,
push,
yes.
maybe. But none of us knows what goes on behind closed doors.
And that's the whole thing with all these documentaries that are coming out now. People watch a 3-hour documentary and they think they're what's the word? Like they know what's going on. They're like an expert. They're an expert on the topic. It's like it takes a long time to be an expert on a topic. You can't just watch a 3-hour TV show. You have to devote your life to it. I'm not going to
research after you watch a documentary.
Yeah.
Do your own.
I'm not going to.
Because documentaries are like, it's the director, the editor, they all cut it together. So even if they try and be objective, there is going to be some bias in there.
It's for entertainment as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Fully Sourced is where we watched this video called The Dark Side of Steven Spielberg.
And can I just say one thing? Sorry.
Yeah.
The fact that the Fully Sourced thing is, it's just a YouTube. It doesn't look like it's making any money. It's one guy. There's no money behind it. It's just one guy talking over some images. Almost in some way makes me feel like it's got a bit more sincerity behind it, because it's not. He's not trying to make money.
No.
And the research he does in that video...
Impressive.
Very impressive. He spent a lot of time on it. He connects a lot of dots. He does his own little detective work.
Yeah, exactly. No one knows people is like, he touched his penis.
Yeah, he asks questions.
Yeah, so he basically puts out a statement out there, shows his evidence why, because even in the end he says it himself. He says he's not sure, but the evidence points to that direction. So he gathers, like a lawyer, gathered up the evidence, presented it to us, we're like the jury. Today, as we discussed the video's been out since, I think it came out a year or 2 ago, I'm not
Probably
too sure.
be about a year, because you mentioned Andrew Kreisberg. I think that only happened at the beginning, around 2018.
Yeah, so basically, I'm a huge fan of that YouTube channel, and I discovered the video a year ago, and since I've been guest starring on this podcast, and I realised you guys are into conspiracy theories and so forth, and since this kind of falls into that umbrella a bit, because there's nothing proven yet, I thought it was an interesting topic for us to talk about, because the simple fact is, Steven Spielberg, you can more or less say he's the Pied Piper of children's films. Like we mentioned here, he's the guy that discovered Drew Barrymore's, also his goddaughter. You think of Jurassic Park, of E.T., maybe Mighty Ducks, I'm not too sure. I don't know if he had his fingers.
I don't think
No?
No, like, Charlie was fine, don't worry.
So what I'm trying to say
Bolton Reed
is,
was also fine.
like, someone mentioned it earlier about how, the Me Too movement and so forth, but the one thing that's been suppressed is that paedophilia, because there is paedophilia in Hollywood. There's been many different people like Elijah Wood and the two Coreys, and different people have mentioned that they've been abused when they were young.
Yeah. Did you guys ever come across a theory that they allowed the Me Too stuff to come out because it was less damaging than the paedophile ring to come out?
Because they do that.
They needed something
Let's
to
give
come
them
out.
that.
Yeah.
I've heard that. The whole reason the Me Too movement blew up is because it's like, okay, we don't want to dig into what else we do. Let's just give them that, so it covers up the fact that children are getting abused.
Yeah.
Just for the context of the podcast, let's talk about one of the allegations that's put towards Steven Spielberg.
Should we go straight into...
Can we talk about the poltergeist?
So, one of the things in the video that stuck out to me, and part of the reason why I wanted to discuss this with you, is because Fully Sourced, he talks about how there's a blind item in the website that Tom does not like.
No, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said, sometimes they do have actual things on there, but then also sometimes...
actual things?
As in stuff that's true. But a lot of the time, because there's been litigations, there's been press releases and articles about this particular website, Crazy Days and Nights, about how inaccurate it is.
Crazy Days and Nights, that's the name of it.
And how they make up blind items.
And what's Crazy Days and Nights, sorry?
It's like a blind item it's a gossip website.
But is that got anything to do with this YouTube video?
Well, because...
One of the sources in the YouTube video was from Crazy Days and Nights.
So this YouTube video uses Crazy Days and Nights as a source material, and Crazy Days and Nights has been...
Yeah, has been called out for their inaccuracies and lies before.
Oh, no, but at the same time...
No, I'm not saying everything they do is wrong. Everything they say is wrong.
You have to mention that part, because if you just lead with
No.
it makes it
because
sound like...
they did hint to the Weinstein and Spacey and stuff.
Yeah.
But then again, they also made up a blind item that insinuates James Franco... did something. No,
James Franco.
I've heard about his Me Too, but I think it was something else.
I heard James Franco into younger women.
No, something about his gay tendencies. I believe. I think
again,
it was
I
James.
wouldn't be shocked if he is, but then again,
I believe it was James Franco. Apparently, he was gay assaults and something.
If you're being happy-go-lucky with the truth, and you don't really care if you're being truthful or not, then you could probably actually be pretty truthful in the end, because you're not worried about saying some false stuff, so you'll just spray stuff out there left, right, and centre, then lots of it's going to hit, I guess.
But at the same time, don't they keep names hidden and things?
Yeah, exactly. So they don't get sued.
So they don't get sued, which kind of is, that's fair enough, but it takes away that sort of leniency.
Yeah, but that's like the Conor McGregor story came out recently, and it was a famous Irish sportsman. Yeah. It's like, how many people could that be?
Yeah, but because they don't name it, they
It's like
can't really.
It's like the whole Simpsons joke. It's like, oh, an anonymous student. Let's just call her Lisa S. Actually, wait, that's too obvious. Let's just call her L. Simpson.
Anyway, so
joke.
basically, all I'm saying is, yes, it might be true, but I don't think you should always take blind items as gospel.
So what's the definition of a blind item?
Yes.
Basically, it's like a gossip piece, but they redact information.
They leave
like,
clues, right?
Yeah, they leave clues about what the person could be or what the situation could be, but they don't overtly tell you.
So it's like
So that way they don't get sued for libel or slander.
using a theory as a...
Could that be that be an excuse though, that like they're saying it so they don't get sued, but it's actually because they don't really know?
Yeah, sometimes. So the theory is with Crazy Days and Nights, because their stories tended to get wilder over the years, and it's been speculated that they just made up stories and they left clues to fit a certain celebrity person, even though it had no basis in truth.
That's such a horrible,
I'm not
poisonous job. Imagine just sitting around in an office like, whose life should we fuck up today? Not that they have that power yet, but they would like to have that power, wouldn't
Your
they?
position is making Perez Hilton look more honourable, then you're in a bit of trouble. At the same time, I'm glad, because stories like that, you want to bring them up in case they are true. If they're true,
Yeah.
God, get them. But you don't know for sure. So you could be screwing someone else's life up unless you have full factual evidence, like some of the stuff that does appear in this whole, Steven Spielberg stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in a second with O'Rourke.
It's good. I think it's good that we're prologuing it all with where we got the information from, just to.
And another thing I want to mention: apparently, the person that leads the blind items on the website is an entertainment lawyer, so he's got access to all the dirty secrets.
But then again, I could easily say I'm an entertainment lawyer. No
He
one's
sounds
gonna
trustworthy. An entertainment lawyer.
Entertainment lawyer. Oh, had my babies.
Yeah, so
Like the
Heather
lawyer
O'Rourke.
from. Oh, Heather O'Rourke.
So, officially, Heather O'Rourke died of septic shock. That is
Caused
what's
by
said.
bowel obstruction. Yes.
Bowel obstruction.
And who is
ladies and
Heather
gentlemen.
O'Rourke?
Heather O'Rourke was the little girl in Poltergeist, ladies and gentlemen. That's what she's best known for. She was
They're here.
Yes.
Big line.
Yeah, she was in Poltergeist 1, 2, and 3. She did stuff in between. She was discovered by Steven Spielberg, hence why we mentioned him.
He discovered a lot of kids.
He
Anyway,
discovered a lot of
carry
kids,
on.
exactly. And then mostly...
What Steven Spielberg? Was she in a Steven Spielberg film?
Well, Steven Spielberg produced Poltergeist.
Okay.
So,
But also there's the urban legend that Steven Spielberg is the guy that did direct Poltergeist, but he had Toby Hooper as his beard in a way, his Trojan horse in a weird way. Because I think because at the time Steven Spielberg was known as the family kid friendly film guy,
Yeah.
and if you think about it, Poltergeist could have flopped.
Yeah.
Could have got terrible reviews. It could have tarnished his reputation. So who better than the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre as the quote unquote director of the film? Because allegedly,
My favourite horror film ever.
it's
Like
been a while.
Poltergeist.
Nah. Texas Chainsaw
Chainsaw.
Massacre.
I've never seen it because no one wants to watch it with me because everyone's seen it and no one wants to watch it with me.
I mean, people could watch it more than once.
It's the best, man.
I'm gonna
It's
tell my
so
girl.
good.
I'm gonna have my girlfriend watch it with me. Like she's
So
seen it
like
before.
Chainsaw,
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I'm like, boo, we gotta watch it. So so basically, Toby Hooper. I think it was Toby Hooper. I read it somewhere years ago that he confessed that it wasn't me who directed it. It was Steven Spielberg. They just got me there as the
The face.
as the face. Yeah, but Heather O'Rourke was in Poltergeist. She was a tween when she died. I think she was around
12.
when she
Yeah.
died. In the blind item, I guess since I passed Key Stage 3 English when it comes to reading, I'm going to read the excerpt, parts of this.
Oh, you're going to read something?
Oh yeah, why not?
This is going to be nice.
Why not? Why not? Let me read.
Satier's Reading Corner.
Real golden.
So it's some lovely, nice reading.
So
The golden hour, like...
the blind item says molesters killed her. So back in the mid 80s was peak child molesting time in Hollywood. There
The
was
golden age.
Oh, God.
There was no internet. For very, very few mobile phones. Children came to the set where they were left alone by their parents. For the next 8 hours, they were subjected to every kind of horrible thing you can imagine. Drugs were commonplace. They were used to try and get the kids not to be so hysterical when being assaulted. Producers loved casting shows with kids and tweens. If someone pitched a show that involved a handful of tweens with a dozen tween extras per week, it would get green lit. That explains why there's a lot of crap TV shows, guys.
This is, they're going a little bit hard and fast with not even with the truth, they're just not being very specific. A lot of opinion here, in my personal point of view.
Could be talking about Dan Schneider for all we
A lot of
No,
opinion.
but there's stories about Dan Schneider.
Even if the show was going to suck and everyone know it was going to suck, you get the right pedo at the studio, he would say yes just to come for the casting and taping of the pilot. As sad as it is to say, there were a lot of parents who told their kids to go off with a nice man in a suit and do whatever he says. It was a sick time. It was just past the mid-80s when a producer came up with the idea of a tween show that not only would feature a rotating cast of extras, but would make the studio a bunch of money because they would film quickly and not hire any adults. Further, the faster they filmed, the more time they would have to molest all the kids that would be hanging around.
It's just something I can't quite... I just don't know if it's like every single person in flipping Hollywood is like attracted to like young children.
No, but the thing is with paedophiles, they get jobs to get access to kids.
But basically, if you're going to go with conspiracy theory land, it's a ritual, because apparently Illuminati ritual to fondle kids and to do sodomy.
I feel like I've heard everything is Illuminati like ritual.
Yeah, I agree. Like that,
Aleister Crowley.
I can understand that all of like the Me Too stuff, like power corrupts, and if everyone's saying yes to you, you're gonna you probably would end up. I can understand why there's more people that abuse women because women don't take no for an answer, this sort of thing. The men don't take no for an answer, but the idea of actually being attracted to like children is a very rare thing.
It's not as rare as you think it is.
Unfortunately, it's not.
I mean, there are a lot of people that don't act on it, which is good, but
like you said, if you're surrounded by yes men and you're so powerful, where's the limit? Like, you keep pushing those boundaries.
There's a thing called pedosexual.
But it's human biology to be attracted to women of men of like the age, or men of the age of like reproductive age.
No, that's not strictly true.
No, I would say that is biology, but obviously there is a tweak where some people are messed up in the head and they're attracted to little kids.
Well,
I wouldn't say the majority of people.
Listen, 70 years ago, you'd think a man being attracted to a man was a mental thing.
True.
But it happens.
That's true, yeah.
And because it's consensual...
That flies the biology...
Exactly. And because it's consensual...
As well.
Yeah, exactly.
Sex as well.
Well, there's two types in there. Apparently there's the child molester, which chooses to abuse the kid.
Yeah.
Then there's paedophiles, who are just biologically attracted to kids.
Yeah.
And obviously not defending them, but apparently, because my friend, he works as a nurse, he says they can't help it, and sometimes they try to find some help. But there is like a sort of...
There are some that get chemically castrated so they don't even feel the attraction.
So paedophilia is when you're attracted to kids, and child molesting is like when
you
like the
act
power.
on it.
It's like a biological... But the child molesting is the one where they choose to... They're still attracted to women, but or men, but they choose to go after the kids.
Yeah. I mean, it's like me saying, sometimes I want to hit someone, but I don't actually do it.
I want to be a dictator so I can just castrate paedophiles and child molesters.
But do you understand what I'm saying about... I understand, like, how the majority of, let's say, men in Hollywood are probably kind of, like, bad when it comes to their relationship with sex and other women or men, like, because they don't take no for an answer. But just the idea of, like, all of them being attracted to underage kids...
we're not
doesn't
saying
make
all
sense.
of them are attracted.
But this blind item that's being read now seems like the whole of Hollywood is based on the idea...
Well, in the 80s.
The idea of basically they made TV shows just so that they could.
I'm sorry, but if someone is a child molester, they put themselves in places of authority so they can have access to children. Like, that's what happened a lot with the Catholic Church, for crying out loud. You can't say that this is unbelievable because we've seen it happen and we've seen the cover-ups in the church and Hollywood. I'm sorry about if people are religious. Hollywood is actually probably more powerful than the church.
It's just a method on how they choose to do it, which
Exactly.
is different. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just say. Sorry, carry on.
From the first day, it was the worst place on earth if you were a kid. The studio where the show was filmed also had several other shows being filmed there, most of which featured lots of children. Executives would drive over to Hollywood right before lunch and would stay at the studio for several hours each day. Anyway, on this particular show, there was a special guest star, a very special guest star. Still not a tween, everyone knew who she was. Executives flocked to the studio that day to see her. She was first molested when she was 5 or 6 and had continued to be molested throughout her hit films and also a previous show. One of the stars of the show, who has spent her life bouncing in and out of rehab because of what she saw, and who was actually nominated for awards from the show, described the atmosphere that day. a bunch of fucking pigs. I had just turned 12 or 13. I was the same age as the actress coming in. Maybe a little older. We've been shooting for months and I was old news. They knew I would do what they wanted. But they always wanted someone new. This was someone new and someone they all knew. They had it set up like a peep show almost. She was finished shooting that morning and they brought her out on a stage. The stage was used most of the time for a game show that was taped there. That game show is still on today. I can't watch it knowing what happened to her there. They brought her out and the front 4 rows of this theatre were filled with guys who were already rubbing themselves. The girls wearing a bikini. The show took place around a beach just so they could make these girls wear next to nothing. They had her walk around under the lights. The lights were focused on her and she couldn't really see out to the audience. She was squinting. It must have been blinding for her. They had her walk back and forth. Then they had her start dancing. All of these guys were doing what another star at the same studio got busted for. This went on for about 20 minutes. Then 3 of the guys took her to a different area of the studio. The actress didn't see what happened, but about 45 minutes later, one of these 3 guys came running out and needed a set medic. Apparently they had inserted something inside the girl and things were bad. The medic came and the ambulance came. The parents of the girl were told some crap story. That crap story ended up killing the girl because the parents believed the executives. 2 weeks later, the show finished shooting 6 episodes all at once, and then everyone was sent on their way forever. No one wanted the kids around or any witnesses to what happened. Now,
I hope it's not true because that's an awful way.
The thing is, the studio is the studio where they
showed Jeopardy.
They showed Jeopardy, which is still going today, and the part here said all these guys were doing what another star at the same studio got busted for. So Pee Wee Herman's show was from the same studio, and the actor who played Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubin, he got busted for masturbating in the theatre. So there you go. So even though
that was only in a theatre.
Yeah, but if you think about it, blind items, most of the time it sounds like try it, and sometimes if you do your own research,
it's just kind of broad and vague and like.
It's like a horoscope.
I couldn't base any of my opinion on that because someone could have just sat in front of their computer and writ that.
Because I'm just trying to think of what's the hard stone evidence that we have. The one thing that does get me is the fact that twice they retracted the autopsy results, or they didn't allow it to come out.
We know Heather O'Rourke is dead. That's a fact.
That is a fact, but the thing is, this is the evidence. It said that Heather was acting in the 80s. She was not yet a tween. Had a hit film and television appearance. This matches. The entertainment lawyer claims this girl was first molested at 5 or 6. Heather was discovered by Steven Spielberg and had her first acting role at the age of 5 in a show called Fantasy Island. So this matches the whole talk about she was molested at another show. The exact television show set that these events occurred cannot be verified 100%, but the clues seem to lead to Rocky Road, as it was filmed in the same studio as Jeopardy, which is still running today. As I mentioned, Pee Wee Herman, who's alluded to being busted for masturbating in the theatre. This matches, or at least makes sense. A medic needed to be called because something had been inserted into a girl, which ended up eventually killing her. This could match as Heather died of bowel problems. So
it's quite rare for a young girl to die of bowel problems.
Exactly. Even if you want to be saying, it's conspiracy theories not true, but the fact that she died of, the autopsy botched twice, what she died of, obviously they couldn't figure out how to cover up the fact that this girl, 12, has got bowel problems. How can you have bowel obstruction unless someone's shoving something inside you?
And it went septic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Septic shock, it can happen if you get, basically, it's poisoning on the blood.
Yeah.
So that's what septic shock means. So something happened to her, whether you want to admit or not, but something did happen to her. Drew Barrymore, she started drinking at the age of a very young age, 12 or wherever it is.
And Drew Barrymore kind of had familial protection as well.
Exactly.
She came from a legacy family.
And she's Steven Spielberg's goddaughter. The reason why Steven Spielberg was brought up because the documentary, as it's called, the video is called, The Dark Side of Steven Spielberg. It alludes to the fact that he was hanging around with Roman Polanski, who got busted for sleeping with a 13-year-old girl. It's like, how can this guy who's associated with a known
let's not use the word
molester.
Sleeping. It's child molestation and child rape because
but
it's 13-year-old
was it the mother gave consent? It's some
but it's a 13-year-old girl.
And also, I'm not defending it, but it's like back in those times, it was kind of okay, because you think about it, Elvis Presley met Priscilla when she was like 14 or 13.
It was never okay.
I know it's never okay, but I'm just saying that back in those days, it was probably,
Normalised.
it was frowned upon, but it was normal as a thing. You get a girl like, yeah, I was 14, but I slept with this, blah, blah. Nowadays, we won't accept any sort of, leeway, any sort of statutory situation we'll accept it. But back in those days, if you read up a lot of stories, you get
No,
certain
I
people-
know, but I'm still saying it's wrong. It doesn't matter
100% wrong.
if they normalised it in that society. If it was any Tom, Dick or Harry sleeping with a 13-year-old girl, do you think he'd... Well, to be fair, they actually did try and prosecute him for once. That hardly ever happens. But yeah, it wouldn't be brushed under the carpet like everything else is.
So the blind item, and with some research from Fully Sourced, led us to believe that Heather O'Rourke is the person they talk about in the blind item. And the child actress who recounts the event, again, due to the research on the documentary, leads to believe is Devon Odessa. She was an actress on Rocky Road. She was also nominated for an award, so it kind of like matches up. So that's why, for me, I was really impressed. It was not one of those fear-mongering, as some people accuse, when you watch a conspiracy theory video, all it is trying to scare you. And
That blind item was quite... I felt like the blind item itself was quite scaremongery, but the YouTube video that we watched was very careful, I think, to put forward some ideas.
The YouTube video actually put more evidence to back it up.
Yeah.
We recommend
Rather than the blind
watching
item is more speculative.
Yes,
like you can't prove anything. It's a story that anyone could have written.
But
whereas the video, they actually had other coincidences or evidence to back it up. Like the transcript.
If we want to, if we do research, we could tend to figure out what episode was Heather O'Rourke in for Rocky Road, and when was it filmed, and if it lines up to when she died. Because if it does line up, it's actually died 2 weeks after filming that episode. That for me is undisputed truth that she is the girl they're talking about.
Yeah. So I watched that YouTube thing, and you said before, with like this podcast all into conspiracy theories. I hate conspiracy theories because videos like that pose more questions for me than they give answers. If I really want to find out if this is true or not, I need to spend some significant time now to do some serious research into this. More so than any YouTube video could ever do. I need to find out stuff for myself.
I'm considered a conspiracy theorist because I'm like, for example, like Nipsey Hussle died recently. I'm like, oh, Nipsey got killed because of the Dr. Sebi documentary he went to release. Kind of like Left Eye got killed because she wanted to release something involving Dr.
I think
Sebi.
you can really connect stuff if you want to, and I'm not saying that it's not worth connecting that. I think it is, like, some of it might be true. Just for me, myself, I find it too time-consuming.
It is. I've given up. It used to be something... It's something I fell into by accident because it was just like a random thing. Like, oh, why did Grace Kelly die and Marilyn Monroe? And it opened up this rabbit hole. Because that's what tends to happen when you go on YouTube. You don't intend on being there, and the next thing hours on end.
Usually that happens to me, and then I realise, it's 3 in the morning, and I have to be up at work.
Heck, I'm not doing 3 in the morning. That kind of shit
that's
sometimes
usually what happens
in your head.
with me.
I don't sleep sometimes.
Whenever I'm like reading about serial killers and this conspiracy theories or whatever, and then I just click on something else, and then it ends up being like 3 or 4 in the morning.
So, conspiracy theorists, if someone dies, as soon as it says, oh, they died of natural causes, it's like, fuck that, they didn't die of natural causes. But then people that don't like conspiracy theories are always like, yeah, they died of natural causes. And then if anyone tries to give them a conspiracy theory, they're like, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
which I hate.
It's just so, but both of them are just as bad as each other.
I believe that.
Well, it depends on the agenda as well, because sometimes they're trying to push either their own success or they're trying to defame someone for a reason. But if there's someone that has no reason to do it, or that they have nothing to prove, sometimes you think, well, the evidence is kind of clear, and I don't see, maybe there is something to this, and it lines up so well. You can't help but believe it a little bit.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm also not completely against conspiracy theories. I'd like to hear out both sides.
Yeah. I want to know facts.
And make my own mind up.
Yeah, but as I said, it's going to take a long, hard time. I'm not going to devote my life to finding out about this. I'm sorry, I'm not. So I'm just going to... I'm not going to form any opinion on it.
After you've watched the whole documentary that he did, the whole video that he did, what are your thoughts on Steven Spielberg?
Yeah. I mean, for example, let me give you an example. Didn't Drew Barrymore want to emancipate herself from her parents?
I believe she did, didn't she?
She did, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would someone do that? It wouldn't be, oh, I want more booze and drugs, unless she feels like her parents didn't protect her.
Actually,
didn't
you know
help her.
what? That's not unheard of in Hollywood, because if you're underage, you have to always come to the set with a parent. That's why a lot of them, if they're older teenagers, they get emancipated. Which also leads to issues.
The main thing is Corey Feldman, I hope he's protected, because I'm shocked he's still alive. Because Corey Haim really died.
If they actually did anything to Corey Feldman at this point,
they stabbed him. They tried to. He
Yeah, I know,
got stabbed. I think
it's
maybe it was a
just
warning.
stupid.
Maybe it's a warning for him.
But
Don't
it
release the
was so
documentary. He's got a
stupid.
documentary he wants to release.
no. But if anything happened to Corey Feldman at this point, if they hurt him, then that's going to add fuel to the flame. They should let him. Like, I'm not saying he's a crazy lunatic, but they should let him do what he's going to do.
No, but it's.
And then
But think about
they
this,
have
right?
money. They can have a PR game. They
Yeah,
can do
no,
whatever they
but
like.
the thing is, once it's out there, it's out there. It's like you can't unhear it. That's
Yeah.
why they're trying to stop him.
And if enough people say it once, twice, 3 times, the repeating
yeah.
of it, no matter.
The repetition of it, like, then you
Yeah.
go, boom. I believe he knows. He said the powerful people in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, no, I believe
He
it.
said it. And he's also was under the tutelage of Steven Spielberg as well. It comes to a point, it's like, even
Too
for
many
example,
coincidences.
again, as a guy who don't believe Michael Jackson abused kids, but at the same time, you know, Michael Jackson at one point was going to get cast in Hook. So it's kind of like he's been associated with people who's known, or kids that's been affected by it. Either it's two things: either he's a part of it, or he's just as bad for turning a blind eye to it. Because he can't be naive. You can't say, "Oh,
And they were close as well.
yeah."
Yeah.
And at what point did Steven Spielberg basically... He is Hollywood, basically, isn't he?
He came up in the
runs
70s.
show,
Like, he
right?
basically does run the show.
But when did he go from a small director making little
80s.
films to, like... I know he made... What's the Jewel? Is that Jewel? The one
Jaws.
that... No, Jewel. Not
Jewel.
Jaws. Yeah.
As
The
in
one
like
about
a
the
gem?
truck. Yeah. The one where there's the guy getting followed by the truck. That was his first film.
Jewel.
Yeah. Jewel.
Duel.
Jewel.
Okay.
That's good.
With
It's
a
good.
D.
Yeah, D-U-E-L. And yeah, so when did he become so ingrained in Hollywood
It was
as
in the
a...
80s, right?
And why?
Because
And
it
why?
started up in the 70s. That's when his career started to
No, but the
go
thing is,
upwards.
again, I don't want to go why, because we can go to conspiracy theory land of why he became big. But it's
Yeah.
just like, if you want to go, you know, practically what we've seen on screen, like the big blockbusters. The 80s was the year of the big.
created it himself. So.
Yeah, so he basically paved the way for big blockbusters, and that because he made a lot of money for studio, you know, his power increased.
And Jaws probably didn't cost that much money.
Not think of it. It's a
Killer shark.
It was a great critical success, but also it
I've never
made
seen
money.
Jaws, by the way, guys.
Oh,
Never
it's
seen
well
Oh, really?
good.
You've not
So
seen a lot
good.
of stuff.
You not realize I don't care for Steven Spielberg too much, to be honest.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
don't.
true.
I don't really
That's
care
true.
for him. Like
I watched that as a kid, yeah.
I found maybe Lost World. Is it Lost World? Lost
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jurassic Park.
That's probably decent, but I'm not too
Saving
particularly.
Ryan's Privates.
Shaving Ryan's Privates.
Oh, you know what? I don't understand the big hubbub
I
of
like
that
Shaving
film.
Ryan's Privates.
Yeah, me too.
I
Even if
mean,
Ryan doesn't want me to.
No, but I feel like his
please
films are
let's not joke about that stuff in this
Hook.
episode.
I feel like the only film of his that I say I love is Hook.
And do you know what's
Yeah,
even
interesting?
that.
Do you know what's
But now
interesting?
that's
He
ruined.
said about that film,
Yeah, Fully Sourced.
it's his worst
Yeah.
film. He said he wants to rewatch that film to find out if there's anything good in it. Maybe it's because of the amount of molestation that went on that film.
Steven
Of
said
course.
that.
No, he can't.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg said he wants to rewatch that film to see if there's anything good in it because he absolutely hates it.
Pretentious prick.
I like that film.
I like it.
I like that film, but at the same time, Fully Sourced as well. It talks about how that film normalizes a man being touched by kids. Because if you
Those
think
long
about it,
shots,
yeah,
yeah.
and it's very intimate as well when he touches face. So it's kind of like in Fully. I like that Fully Sourced documentaries. They make you realize that Steven Spielberg films normalize men who's not the parent of the kid's relationship.
Yeah.
If you get where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
You know, you guys like, oh yeah, sure, my kid can go hang out with Indiana Jones. I got no issue with that. Yeah, sure, go get some diamond-crested necklace or whatever it is. Yeah, go with that man. So if you think about it, if it wasn't for these films, we probably find it strange. Like, yeah, why are you going with this old man for? Why is Doc Brown hanging out with, you know, a kid and going on a time machine, you know?
I never actually thought about that.
You know, if you really think about it, it's like, because the films made it normal.
That's
It wasn't-
actually true.
It wasn't until it started coming out, this paedophilia, you would be fine with it. Yeah, go camping with this guy who's volunteering to spend
don't
time
ruin
with
Back
you.
to the Future for me, please.
No, I'm going to ruin everything for you guys because if the word is called TV programming, because we all say like, oh, brainwashing doesn't exist. It does exist. When we watch the television, it alleviates stress. When we watch our horror films, it spikes up our endorphins. Someone getting stabbed, but it's not real. But it's simulating stabbing, so your mind is believing it in that moment. Even though you know it's not real, there's a part of you that's engrossed into it.
And then I suppose like the equilibrium of a film is supposed to be the beginning when everything's normal.
Exactly.
And that's where they sow the seeds of this is what's normal.
Yes.
Maybe Hook wasn't subtle enough. Maybe that's why he's trying to downplay it.
That's what I'm trying to say. Even Indiana Jones, I've never seen it, but another thing for these sources, they mentioned how originally George Lucas and Steven Spielberg...
The transcript of that conversation.
Please.
I've got it here.
Yeah, read it.
Who's doing George Lucas and who's doing Steven Spielberg?
These aren't the same. They're different. Okay, do you want to be George? I'll be Lawrence and Stephen.
You get all the good lines.
Your best chin impression.
Okay.
By the way,
you
before we
can be
begin,
George.
it was paint the picture. So which Indiana Jones film is this?
This is the first one, Lost
first
Ark.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, because I've never seen it, so yeah.
The Raiders of the Lost Ark.
The
Okay.
Raiders.
So, George, hi, how you doing, mate?
Oh, God.
How you doing, mate, George?
Oh, God. Okay, right. So they're talking about the relationship between Indiana and...
Marion.
Okay.
Apparently, so originally, what age did they want Marion to be originally, apparently?
Okay, so I'll start with this beforehand. So, in the film, anyone who's watched it, they're aware there's a throwaway line where Marion says, "I was just a kid." And you see that in certain films where it's like, oh yeah, she was
you think
21 or
yeah, exactly.
18 or something. Because you hear that a lot and it's played very obviously.
I was just
like
a kid
throwaway
back
thing.
then.
Yeah.
Okay, before you begin reading it, when you heard that interpretation at that time, before you watched the documentary...
No, it was just a throwaway line. I didn't read too much into
Nothing
it when I
to
first
do with
moved to the
pedophilia.
movie.
I couldn't remember it.
At
I just
most
figured, she was just a young woman.
18, 21.
No, but what do you think the conversation was about?
Well, it was about they had a
romantic
fling
relationship.
once before. The actress herself was quite old anyway. So you think yourself, well, maybe...
What, compared to Harrison Ford? Did she look younger than Harrison Ford or around
Oh,
the
yeah.
same
Oh,
age?
yeah, no, there's always at least 15 years between a lead actor and his love interest.
Okay, then it didn't make you think, which is she was younger. You don't think, oh, how...
Well, no, because I watched it when I was a child. So you don't... I didn't read, like, sexual subtext in it, because I didn't sexualize it.
But it's so throwaway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
Okay.
set the stage for you guys.
All right, George, how you doing, mate?
Fuck. Okay. I was thinking that this old guy could have been his mentor. Wait, what's that? Old guy could have been his mentor.
Her mentor, maybe it means.
It says his.
Okay.
He could have known this little girl when she was just a kid, had an affair with her when she was 11.
And this is Lawrence Kasdan, and he was 42.
He hasn't seen her in 12 years. Now she's 22. It's a real strange relationship.
Now, Steven Spielberg. She had better be older than 22.
He's 35, and he knew her 10 years ago when he was 25, and she was only 12. It would be amusing to make her slightly young at the time.
And promiscuous. She came on to him.
Let's focus on that.
She came on to him.
George Lucas. 15 is right on the edge. I know it's an outrageous idea, but it is interesting. Once she's 16 or 17, it's not interesting anymore. But if she was 15 and he was 25 and they actually had an affair the last time they met, and she was madly in love with him and he... That's the end of the chat.
Okay.
That's the end of it.
Firstly, let's focus on Steven Spielberg initially saying she better be older than 22. And it was George Lucas that first originally brought up the idea that she should be a child. But then again, that she came onto him. Can I just say a child cannot come onto a fully grown man?
Yeah.
11, 12 years old.
We've got to think of... Because a girl could be advantageous towards a man, but
Exactly.
we can't call it coming onto. That's
Exactly.
it's not the right word.
I mean,
for
yeah,
it.
I had crushes on fully grown men when I was
Yeah,
11 or 12.
exactly.
Would it be okay for them to have sex with me when I was 11 or 12 when they're in their 30s?
She
No.
came, yeah, exactly. Sounds like Steven Spielberg was being a bit more savvy than George Lucas.
Yeah.
But wanted it to have the whole. If you read this,
He was easily convinced, though, Steven Spielberg.
If you read what we just read, it sounds like maybe they're talking about some really experimental film that might be about like child molestation or something like that. But it turns out they're making
An
Indiana
Jones
Jones movie.
Yeah.
I want to know who recorded this transcript, or
I
how they allowed
don't
this to get
know,
out.
actually.
See, we don't know.
So
That's
again-
where it fell for that. Falls between the cracks. a little
Again,
bit.
No,
anything like
right,
this-
because Fully Source brought it up. If we go back to the video, we might find out. If we do an additional research, we might get more transcripts.
There's a transcription of a pre-production story meeting for the
Pre-production.
first Indiana Jones film.
Basically, Steven Spielberg, this whole idea that he's either into like having sex with underage children,
Or he's an apologist and aids people.
not even,
Or aiding and abetting.
yeah, not even a.
Maybe that's how he got success. He was like offering up children.
Yeah, so this whole idea is very much on the margins at the moment. This video that we watched, a few other articles and stuff. But even though it's very much on trend to be outing people at the moment, it's not Steven Spielberg's time yet.
Yeah.
If someone was to say, I don't like Steven Spielberg, I've heard he does weird stuff with kids, I don't want to watch his films, you would be a stick in the mud. You would be ostracised by the majority of people right now. People would be like, oh, that's not true, I've never heard of that. If 3 years ago, when Bump and Grind came on by R. Kelly, I said, I'm not listening to that because I know all this weird stuff R. Kelly did.
It's pissing on kids, yeah.
You would be ostracised by the people at the house party. People would be like, oh, get a life, whatever. Now, if I put on Bump and Grind at the house party, people would be fucking shouting at me, telling me to turn off, telling me how disgusting it is.
Well, one of you said that's something really good about they've allowed Me Too to come and do its thing because it takes all the attention away from this, right?
Maybe
That's one of the theories.
Maybe
My question is, where is Louis Theroux? We should be researching this whole child molestation thing. I feel like there's a certain red tape that people will not touch, and that is child molestation in Hollywood, because everyone's heard it. Even Harvey Weinstein. I heard about Weinstein abusing women a long time ago. I heard about Kevin Spacey.
Exactly. We all heard the story.
When I was working in television, I heard one of the producers mentioning when he was in London, he had a place where he would take young actors back, and I was like, wait, Kevin Spacey, like, men? At the time, I thought he was into women. This is before he came out, and it was convenient that Kevin Spacey only came out as a gay or bi, wherever it is.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this morning. First of all, fuck you. And how has that got anything to do with you molesting children? You being gay has nothing to do with you being a child molester.
Exactly.
Straight people could be a child molester.
So what I'm trying to say is that we've heard through the grapevine about Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey. So now with his documentary by Fully Sourced that we watched, we recommend people, if you want to check out, do your own independent research, start with that documentary and take it from there. I believe 110%, because what's the film, Ready Player One, wherever it is.
Oh yeah, I like that film.
I didn't finish it. I got a little bit bored in the middle. Then again, I was on the plane.
I really like that film.
The thing is, he likes working with kids a lot. Is it on one side of the coin? Is he a guy that gives children an opportunity to shine, or is he a predator?
Can we just say no one likes working with kids that much?
Yes.
But
The whole thing about Hollywood is the worst people to work with are kids and animals.
Yeah, but David Attenborough likes working with animals. No one's calling
from
him
afar.
yeah, but no one's saying
Well, they can't complain. If he's fucking animals, they can't complain.
Hey, let's not insinuate Sir David Attenborough.
Hey,
animals.
Hey, why not, man? Like, no one's
You
saying...
got a couple parrots screaming, me too.
That's the only animal he doesn't touch, because they'll snitch on him.
Okay, so let's bring this argument to a close.
All right.
So, Steven Spielberg, Alex, you're the,
I'm the what?
The rational one.
Yeah, no, not the rational one. What's the word? I can't even think of the word.
Ragnarok.
No.
Let's think of the word. I want to know the word.
I can't figure out... Why can't I remember the word?
Slow tie.
No.
The bedrock.
No. He's definitely not a bedrock.
Red rum.
We're gonna sit here for half an hour of me trying to
What's
figure
the
out
word?
what
What's
the
it
word
mean?
is.
Describe the word.
Describe me.
It's 3 syllables.
Normally I know words, but now I don't.
What's the word? Is it a good
You're
word?
the,
Bird is the word.
What is the
Everybody's
word?
heard about the word.
What is the opposite of someone that buys into a conspiracy theory? That's the word.
The skeptic.
Yes, that's the word.
Okay, I'm not a skeptic,
You're the skeptic,
and you know,
skeptic.
and
Yeah.
I was very impressed by the video you showed me, Sat,
Oh, I'm so
because it
glad.
wasn't like full of emotion. It wasn't like he did this, this is this, this is it. It was just lots.
Even
of
in the end, he said it. Hey, I'm not saying he did
He
it,
asked
but
lots
it's
of
evidence.
questions.
Yeah, he's like,
When I think of Steven Spielberg, I don't think of Steven Spielberg as a human. I think of Hollywood as a franchise, and I think
the embodiment, right?
And I think I would be surprised if there's not just as dark shit that we've heard in this episode going on in Hollywood, and worse. But the thing is, I'm never going to know the truth. So, unless I want to devote the rest of my life to finding out the truth, I just kind of want to bury my head in the sand, basically.
Okay. I know it doesn't seem like it because I was arguing with you about the source, but yeah, I'd easily buy this. Because, come on, paedophile rings that aren't run by Hollywood, seem to work successfully for several years. We've witnessed that in our lifetime. Like, not just in this country, abroad, everywhere. So the fact that Hollywood has a paedophile ring, I buy it. Especially with, you've got like people like, Victor Salva, the Jeepers Creepers guy.
Yeah.
He's not Steven Spielberg, yet he seems to still have a career, even though he's a convicted child molester.
Wait, hold up. Jeepers Creepers are convicted.
The director.
He openly admitted to it as well.
Yeah, he openly admitted to it, and then
But
he's
the
still
director
got,
of
and
the
then
film.
he's still had a career.
And then he went and made Jeepers Creepers 3, didn't he?
Yeah, and then he made Jeepers Creepers 3, and there were protests.
And that was
'cause
the
he
worst thing he ever did.
and there were protests. And there were protests because he was sent out a casting call for children. But he was still allowed to do that. But so if he can get away with that when he's a small-time director that made one successful film and crappy sequels, Steven Spielberg could get away with
Yeah.
that.
I think there's weirder stuff, dark.
Yeah.
Not that. Well, to be fair, there's not much weirder than you can get than what we've spoken
Yeah.
about today. But I think there's that stuff going on a lot, probably in Hollywood. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised if it wasn't going on.
Yeah, so it doesn't... I'm not saying Steven Spielberg is a paedophile, but I'm pretty sure he's probably involved in the rings or the cover-ups or something.
That's going to be on the bottom of his next film. I'm not saying Steven Spielberg is a paedophile.
I have to just underline that.
Do you think he'll ever have his day when people?
I
hope
don't.
so.
I hope so.
so.
I
If
just
he
really
is,
want to
'cause
see
it's-
people getting their comeuppance.
It's not trendy to say Steve. It's very trendy to not listen to R. Kelly or watch Kevin Spacey films now, but it's not yet trendy.
What you mean? Hey, by the way, I'm still gonna watch 7. I don't give a fuck. What's in the bar?
What's in the bar?
What's in the bar?
Okay, so but the thing is,
It's 1p. Sorry, deal or no deal.
all right. So with him, I do hope it comes out. He did do it. Let's just put the if there.
Iffy.
If he did do it, I do hope it comes out. But
whole
I don't
episode's
see
a bit
it coming
iffy.
out in our lifetime. Not as majorly. Maybe you'll hear about certain instances, but I don't think the whole thing's going to come out. Because think about the amount of people that must have been involved in that cover-up.
Yeah.
They've all got dirt
That's
on
what
each
I'm
other.
saying. If
No
he's-
one's going to
yeah.
speak out if it's one of them.
Okay,
The
I'm gonna-
victims
If
might.
he goes down, the whole
Mate,
of Hollywood has
think
to
about
go
it.
down.
Victims might, but think about what
He's the
happens to
Jimmy
victims
Savile.
when
They're
they...
gonna wait for him to die.
Yeah. What happens to the victims always get suppressed. That's the problem with this type of stuff.
Every single story. That's why I don't really like talking about any of this celebrity Hollywood stuff, because even our very vague sort of conspiracy theories, they're sort of given to us by them. We have no idea what the truth is. It could be anything. It could be beyond our wildest dreams what's actually going on.
Even if it makes a lot of sense, and a lot of these things do, that's why they're so famous on the internet, you can't go 100% full barrel into this, because you've got to be skeptic, even just to remain objective. You just got to remain skeptic, because look at these, like, taking it aside, look at like Russia, America, and all this stuff. There's things called false flag operations. And if you fully believe that something was an attack on someone else, you're just buying into it. But these things exist.
Yeah, because there's one false
What's
flag.
what's a false flag?
False flag operation, I use as an example. There's one called Operation Northwood. So back in the 60s, America wanted to create, because they had issues with Cuba, they're saying that Cuba had missiles.
What's it, the missile...
The Cuban Missile Crisis.
Cuban Missile Crisis, when they were pointing them at
Yes, they're saying that, Cuba's our enemy. So someone suggested in the government that they basically bomb a few American buildings and blame it on Cuba. And I was like, this sounds oddly familiar. 9/11, yeah, I'm that guy. 9/11 is
Okay,
my job.
let's
I
not
went
do
there.
this now. We
Point
won't do
being
this
is,
now.
any agendas, these things exist, not just in Hollywood, but in the media as well.
Yeah.
And it would be very, very
They're all
easy for a
connected.
company to get themselves noticed by coming up with the first scoop of this story, or being the first ones to come up with that blind evidence. You've got to believe what you want.
It's
but you have
been
to treat
it's
it
been
with
said,
respect.
even though it's a real thing, Me Too movement is a real thing. Women were abused. People even say that the movement is a false flag to cover the fact that it's paedophilia in Hollywood.
go.
It's like, we ain't gonna do any more digging because we're actually happy with the progress and the changes allegedly happening.
Yeah, and have you noticed since Me Too sort of died down, no
yeah,
women
we don't
are getting,
talk about
no
it now.
women are getting molested
Which
in
is
Hollywood
bullshit,
anymore.
because they still are doing
Of
it.
course
Still
they
happening,
are.
yeah.
I'm obviously being flippant when I say no women are being molested in Hollywood anymore, but there was a time about 2 years ago or 1 year ago where every week someone was getting caught for it. What, it's just stopped happening now?
Yeah. So technically, a real flag, but they're saying, look, let's give them the popcorn chicken, we'll keep the bucket. For
Yeah.
Like that. So there's
We're comparing it to KFC now. We're very we're
Finger
simplifying a bit too much. No, we don't say that.
What, in this episode?
Not in this
I
episode.
love that, the popcorn chicken. And you keep the whole goddamn
No one is
bucket.
as squeaky clean as Mr. Rogers.
Before we wrap this up, I feel like we've danced around in circles trying to say that most of the time we refuse to believe certain things. But I 110% believe what we read about Heather O'Rourke is true. There's so many evidence lining up. If the final missing piece of the puzzle is lining up when she filmed Rocky Road and when she died. If it lines up, she died 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury.
That's the most.
Guilty.
That's the most emotive piece of information that I
Yeah.
got today. And
Yeah.
do you know what? Sometimes some of the other stuff draws away from that fact. If that fact was just put on a pedestal and used just to focus on that fact, let someone try and explain why this girl died 2 weeks after.
Yes, and also how they botched
That's
the
suspicious.
autopsy.
That's suspicious
Yes,
as hell.
bowel movement at 12. What the fuck?
I bet
Yeah.
that's the evidence that took you from 50 to 100%.
Yeah, that's where he ended it. That's why Fully Sauce ended with that, because
Yeah.
that you cannot dispute it. You can be a skeptic all you want. You just go up home, do some decent maths, sit there, get some evidence. You'll be like, shit.
Can I say one more thing? The reason I think Steven Spielberg is so protected, his films came out throughout the 80s, 90s. People that are 30, 35, our age, bit younger than 30, came up on Steven Spielberg films. They are the foundation to like their beliefs and what they are as normal people. So if Steven Spielberg comes out as like this monster, then the floor falls from beneath us, and everything we ever believed to be true is basically not true. Yeah, I think that like would make people question their own identity.
And at that point, what have you got left, huh? Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
Rob Schneider? Nothing. We got
Exactly.
nothing.
Shrek?
Shrek? Well, you got Shrek.
At least you got Shrek.
Well, Mike Myers, he came out as a prick as well.
Is
No,
it?
Mike Myers is apparently a
Notorious
big
prick.
douchebag.
Yeah,
Came out as a
happy when
prick.
he-
Yeah, what's
I like
a douchebag? It's a conspiracy
It's a bag
theory.
of
Mike
shit.
Myers is a douchebag.
You know
No,
what?
It's not about. It's not a conspiracy
Yeah,
theory.
it's facts.
As long as you
Yeah.
come out as a prick and you don't come out as using your prick, that's fine.
To be fair, in Hollywood, being a prick right now is probably
best thing
it's probably
you can ever
the
be.
best thing you could be.
Yeah, please stay being a prick. Don't put the prick into little kids, please.
In the end,
Or women without their consent, or
little kids, yeah.
or
Or men-
animals,
or men without
animals,
their- or men without
men,
consent.
or animals,
Innit?
or yeah.
Don't Kevin Spacey, men.
I guess what I've taken from this is keep shining, Mike Myers, you crazy diamond. Keep going.
But to end this, so Heather O'Rourke, R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
It sucks because even thinking about it, a kid, she didn't ask for this to happen.
Yeah.
Powerful people in the position to abuse her. Because again, how she died is strange. That's the reason why we're hanging our
Suspicious
hat.
at best.
Yes, and we're hanging our hat on this because it's like too many weird things has happened around Steven Spielberg for him not to be involved.
Yeah, so the other kids that worked with him, they suffered. Wasn't there one that just didn't work in acting at all afterwards?
Yeah, the girl from Hook, apparently, she didn't do anything anymore.
Yeah.
So there is so many things to look into. So that is my piece. I'm saying I believe it happened, and I hope there's justice in the end for the people that's been abused, and I hope the people that've been doing abusing, they get castrated and they get decapitated and they get pissed on, urinated, burned, and their spirit get continue whipped and destroyed. Yes.
Yeah, I know sometimes we laugh and joke about sex and sexual abuse and all that stuff, but in all honesty, we're decent people. So if this is true, I'm saying if just because of it's not confirmed. But my personal belief, I kind of agree with that. Yeah, it's just a horrible.
What's the
thing.
name of that WikiLeaks guy? The one that's arrested.
Julian Assange.
Free him because he's trying to tell the truth. The Illuminati are trying to keep him from exposing things.
To be fair, Julian Assange he's not exactly the most straight person. He's not even involved in WikiLeaks
He's just a little
anymore.
terror, isn't he? He's
Yeah,
just a little,
he's
little,
not.
little
He's not even involved in WikiLeaks
cyber
anymore.
terror who just likes to leak stuff because he can. Not for
No,
any
no,
more
no.
reason.
I don't think WikiLeaks. They've done a lot of good. They've done a lot of bad. But he's not involved in WikiLeaks anymore.
Just a little troll.
Because he's just too much.
Free him.
Troll.
Just a little troll.
He's a troll who enjoyed some Pamela Anderson action.
To be fair, he's actually ended up imprisoning himself. He was an idiot. He should have just done his time. He's only got himself to blame.
Why is he in prison for?
Well, he's not. He's in the embassy.
Why is he in the embassy?
He's
for?
not in
He's not.
He's
They
now,
threw him
but
out the
yeah.
embassy.
Where did they throw him out for?
He left
Oh,
Sweden, which doesn't have extradition with the UK.
He's
with the
scared
US,
of going
sorry.
back to America because he basically leaked secrets about basically secrets of war about what America was going to do to Afghanistan and stuff
No,
like
but
that.
for someone that's supposed to be smart, he was stupid. So he left Sweden, which doesn't have an extradition treaty
Are we
with
doing
the
this on
US.
this podcast? This
And then
Spielberg
came to
podcast?
the UK, who was so far up the US's arse that they'll do anything for him. Yeah, I did the hand motion. Anyway, I think this is probably an episode for another year.
Yes, please.
Anyway, next episode, Avengers.
No, we're not. Shut up, because that's gonna. We're recording that now, but it's gonna have been on like months
You heard
ago.
it first. That's not a joke.
It's not a hoax.
Yeah, so that's going to be confusing for some people because we're going to go back in time because we're pre-recording the Avengers episode. We're going to upload
Inception.
it months before this
Inception.
episode.
Which
So
is thematically relevant as well.
yeah, we're trying to make it relevant.
This podcast is like Memento.
Yeah,
Memento
you don't know
mori.
what we're so out of order. It's ridiculous.
You're out of order. This whole court's out of order.
Wait, is this my first episode or my last one? I'm not sure.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Laters.
Au revoir.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci sheets.
Arriva dirty sheets.